all caught up. So thank you so much for joining us today, everyone. I appreciate it. I mean, the fact that you're here and you come every week or every month, sorry, it makes me feel so happy. And as long as you're showing up, I'm here to show up for you. It really motivates me, so I appreciate it. So before we begin this week's webinar, if there's any questions from last week's webinar, you can, unmute, share. I'll give you an opportunity. If you have any questions, there's emails that you can now send any inquiries to. And of course, you can utilize this little chat at the bottom. So it's fun. I know we all come to these sessions to learn a little bit of something, but we really want to make sure that you're taking home some valuable insights that you can use towards your practices and so that you can grow them. Because really that's the whole point at the end of the day is we want all of you to be successful. This community is really important. Having someone to, talk to, ask questions. I wish I had this opportunity when I was first starting out. You tend to learn the shortcuts. You learn from people who have, done things the hard way. And you just save a lot of time and energy when we're all collaborating together. So, welcome, welcome. So, my name is Dr. Fallon Patel. For those that don't know me, I own five sublease practices, and I have about 20 associate doctors, over 50 staff. I've been in the industry for about 15 years now, and I've learned a thing or two along the way, especially managing teams. And growing revenue year over year is kind of my forte. And so I'm here to share some best practices with you all in hopes that you can also grow your locations and your clinics. So today's topic is going to be really quite fun. It's going to be cultivating confidence. And so really we want to teach you how to coach your opticians or even your teams to handle any objections. So these can be your appointment schedulers. These can be, opticians mainly, but you can also think of it in terms of services or front desk or pre-testers where the same types of basic principles will apply. So let's get started. Okay, so here's the real problem. So, when we're talking about in practice, there was a time when I would watch a patient hesitate and I could feel that the sale was slipping away, even when I knew we were recommending the right thing. Have you ever felt that way? Like you see it, you're talking to a customer, they're following you along, you're getting the nod, but you could just feel that it was just slipping away. And we've all experienced that moment where everything is going well until we get the objection, right? And the objection can be a multitude of things. Not right now, I don't have time, price, and we'll go over all of those today. But really, just trying to open your mind to this. Have you ever had a patient ready to move forward and then suddenly that they're just going to say, I'll think about it? So when this happens, it's kind of disheartening. You feel like it's a rejection. But really, when it comes down to it, it's really not a product issue. It's really not a pricing issue. It's actually a confidence gap in communication. And confidence, you can say when you look at people, you can say, oh, this person's confident, this person's not. It's actually not a personality, right? It's actually a trained behavior. And what I mean by this is that, each of us have things that we feel confident about in our day to day. And this doesn't mean that this is not a skill that can't be taught. It can absolutely be taught, and we'll go over how this develops. So, when you get that objection, this is a signal for you. So, most teams interpret objections as a rejection, right? It doesn't feel good when someone says no or I'll think about it. And the problem here is that if you get a no and then they just retreat and then they keep doing the same thing over again, if your team avoids these objections, they're really just avoiding growth, right? Because this is actually a good failure. So if you consider failure, you've all heard the term, you got to fail to be able to grow. So if you fail and then you retreat back to your old ways and you don't try to do something different to challenge that, you're really going to be not growing. And this is where that leads to delays. So it leads to overall growth. Even as an owner, we come across these ceilings, these self-sabotaging ceilings that don't allow us to break through when we're faced with uncertainty or something new. It's something we all face at any different point or challenge in our life. But when we're bringing it back to the practice, the reality of the patient needs, so patients actually don't object when they understand. They hesitate when they're actually unsure, right? So if they really get it and they know that this is important, they will find a means to do it. But if they're hesitating because we didn't do a good enough job to explain it, they're kind of unsure. And so reality, that objection is just a request for more clarity. And when you give someone more clarity, it leads to a better decision. So the real root cause, so it's not a people problem, right? It's a training system problem. So think of inconsistent language, right? It equals to inconsistent outcomes. Let's say, for example, someone's wanting to come in for glasses and we want to recommend the blue light. Someone asks, let's say optician A, oh, you're talking about this blue light. Like, why would I, what's the benefit or features? Oh, most people like it. I think it's a good thing to have. Why don't you, try it? Or do you want to give it a try? Versus, oh, blue light is fit. Versus optician B would say something like, blue light is fantastic, Sandy. I use it in my glasses every day. The time when you're on the screens, you feel like there's a lot of glare or even your sleep cycles, if you're using a lot of screens at nighttime. You know how a lot of your devices have that blue blocking feature, your iPads, your screens. Well, this is essentially the same thing, but you have the protection on at all times. And actually, Susie, most people swear by it. They feel that their eyes are do a lot better with the screens throughout the day, and acts as an added level of support or clarity in their vision. Like, do you see the difference between, optician A might be a little bit hesitant and optician B might have the right language and consistency in how they're delivering that point to a customer? That customer is more likely going to probably go for the same option presented to them, but with, optician B versus optician A. And so what we mean by this is confidence is rehearsed, right? So building professional certainty. So confidence doesn't appear under pressure. It's actually built before the moment. So, and this comes from repetition. Like, you're not going to have confidence on the first time you try something new, right? Because it's unfamiliar, it's scary. And so when you are faced with a new challenge, and this is for all of us, I'm not just saying for your team members, think of it back to yourself as well. It's always a great awareness and reflection point is when there's something new, you're scared. Your body's on survival mode. They're on alert mode. Like, how can you be confident if you're feeling uncertain about the future outcome, especially if you're trying something new because it's the unknown? Right. And so the idea is once you get it, once you've done something and you've sold something to somebody, for example, like a blue blocking, you've explained something to a patient, a blue blocking light feature, AR feature, or a new scan in your office or a new product in your office, you've built that connection. And it's actually that repetition that makes you feel more familiar. And that creates certainty in yourself and your subconscious. And that's what creates confidence. So it's just practice. It's repeating and practicing with somebody until you get it right and not giving up. So remember in an initial slide I shared where um, when you have team members who just kind of give up and just do the same thing over again and just keep asking and just keep accepting failure and not do anything different with that, that's when, and this is a normal response. So you can be aware of it and see when you're coaching your team members, you'll just retreat back to what you know, which is more comfortable because you're familiar there and it provides more confidence. So if somebody says no, oh, I'm not going to try that anymore. It doesn't work in my mind because I want to protect my rejection. I don't want to feel uncomfortable. It didn't feel great. But the problem is that you're not moving forward. You're retreating back to how you're always doing something. And so this is why, these are feelings and emotions that we have to kind of get to the mindset of our team that this is very normal. Susie, we're going to do this. It's going to be very uncomfortable the first couple times, but let's keep going for it. Let's set a goal. And once we get through it and you've done a couple, I'll walk you through, we'll model, we'll repeat things. Once you've built that connection, it's going to become really different and you're going to get better at it. And so this is where that training is really important. So I'm a big believer in this is continuous training. And so just bite-sized training, 10 minutes every week is more effective than one huge long training session. So I find that we go to, and this happens a lot, we have these training sessions, we have an office meeting. Sometimes my previous managers have wanted to have, we need an office meeting. No one's on page. We need an office meeting. Okay, we can have an office meeting, but if you're not following up or if you're not, retraining on a weekly basis, people aren't just going to get it from one memo, from one meeting, right? It's natural because we're trying to change someone's habit. So they need the support. And that's where consistency and short 10-minute weekly training sessions can really be a breakthrough. So think about that. If in your practice, sometimes I've seen clinics shut down for an hour, like once a month, right? Just to have an office meeting to go over things. Meetings are important. They'll help you with big vision strategy. Same with training. But if you really want to move the needle and you really want those behaviors to shift, think of it scheduling 10-minute weekly sessions for each of your employees and revisiting. Have a training manager, maybe yourself as the owner. Revisit and train and spot train and practice with people. That's the only way you're going to move the needle forward in building confidence. And the focus is here on real objections. So your team hears daily to build that authentic responses, right? So that's what you want to focus on. All right. So we talked about role play systems. So really, here's the process. There's a playbook for this. So you can identify an objection per week. Maybe you can, again, AI. I'm a big believer of AI. You can ask it, list all these objections that can come up for this product that we want to move forward with. And you can come up with a few of them that have come up in the week with an employee. Susie A, this person didn't. Can you name a situation where someone maybe didn't go with your recommendations this week? That's where you want to start with, right? So you identify that one objection each week. You want to practice. Okay, let's figure out a way that you can say this better. And let me hear how you're going to communicate that. And this is where scripts and SOPs are important to have. Again, AI is great for this. I sent out like a script generator a couple sessions ago. If you guys still want that, just let me know. I can resend that out to everybody. But really, it was called the Optical Script Generator. But really, you just need to have one short script, have it at your front desk so that everybody knows what to follow. And assign team members. This is maybe you if you're the solo owner. If you have an office manager, they can assign somebody as a training manager, have one team member own it, and have them practice with everybody. Ideally, you want your best salesperson doing this, right? So you don't want someone who's kind of, not your best talent. You want your best talent replicating and role playing with everybody on your team. And next is feedback. So that same person is going to coach and give feedback. Just rehearsing is not enough. You need to critique. We need to always be finding ways to do things differently and to do things better. And so coaching is great. You need to make sure feedback, and you're also preset that. So some people don't like to hear feedback, right? But you gotta change their mindsets to let them know that this is where growth happens. You got to be open to feedback. We need to make sure, we're challenged with how we're doing things. That's the only way we can open up somebody so that they will grow with us. And then, of course, we want to apply it. Oh, sorry. We want to apply it. So one takeaway is, okay, Susie, for the next patient, I'm going to challenge you. The next patient that comes in, try saying this instead and let me know how it goes. And make sure you're holding them accountable and then you're following up. So application. So here's an example. So often when I host a lot of these webinars and I do talks in the industry, we're often talking about high or myopia management is often a thing that I talk about. And so these are often very expensive procedures, right? They're not your regular standard eyewear sale. They are considered a premium. And so often I always get this in any room is price objection with these things. And I want to share a story here. When we first started with these ticket items, we went from, I was just thinking about this today. When I first started in practice, our eye exams were maybe $80, right? Now they're 145 and up. right? They go all the way up to 205. And so what happened? Like, how did that shift happen? I remember when I was charging $80, I felt bad for my eye exams. And now we're charging way more. We don't feel bad for our eye exams. Not only that, we are now offering services in the $2,000 range, right? We're doing myopia management. We're doing Ortho K, these premium services. When we first started, it was really hard to convince people to go for it. And now, like, we can close them in their chair by having that confidence and that conversation. So how do we go from A to B if price was a problem? So I think whenever someone comes up with this, or when you yourself at any level of practice think that price is an objection for people, I always tell the room, it's probably you. It's probably me. What could have I said? What could have I done better? Because if I really convey the importance and the value, patients will find a means to adopt for this. There's multitudes of ways that you can come around price objection. If it is an affordability problem, you can subscription it, monthly payments. Very rarely is price an objection. These same people will pay for LASIK. They will spend $5,000 on LASIK, but they won't want to give you $500 for whatever your offering is. So think about it. Maybe it's you, maybe it's we didn't convey the value properly. But here, let's come up with some tools. So we need to have tools, of course, whenever there is a price objection. How do we overcome it? So usually a patient might say, oh, that's a lot more than I expected that was going to cost. The best way to handle that is always, number one is acknowledge. So you always want to understand. And a good thing to say back is, oh, I understand. I get that. You don't want to be defensive and speak over, speak around, avoid what somebody else is saying. You want to always make sure you're acknowledging it. Second, you want to normalize it. Like you don't want them to make them feel like, oh, I get it, it's out of your budget, right? That makes someone feel not great. You want to also say, hey, I get it. Most people feel that way because you want to connect with them. You don't want to close them off. And so when someone, even if they're angry, this is some of our conflict resolution skills as well that we use, similar skills, but you want to normalize that. So you want someone to understand that you understand that, hey, I get it. And yeah, most people do feel that way. Then you move back into educate. What they notice is, so what they notice is when they go for these glasses, though, they notice that it was worth it because their child's prescription is not changing over time. They notice that it was worth it because they feel so much better at the end of the day when they're wearing their glasses day to day. They feel so much more comfortable because they're no longer having to deal with added strain. They feel more comfortable because their day to day is on screens and they need a wide clarity, view. I'm just giving examples of progressive. So you want to bring it back to a more relatable experience that person can relate to. And then the outcome, right? You want to give them that transformation, which is they have more comfort and less strain daily. So what they notice is the glasses help them see better, more wide field of view, which allows them to do their work longer in the day, which allows them to have less strain on their eyes at the end of the day, which allows them to have less dryness, less fatigue, more comfort. They can get their work done on time. So things like this, you want to always convey the transformation versus the product or the technicality. You want to avoid technicality, like this is AR, it has this nanometers, this da 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 da. Like as soon as you get into technicality, you've lost the person, right? Like they don't relate, they don't care. So always bring it back to them, their day to day, a really relatable story, and why it improves their outcome. So examples, thinking objection. So when the patient says, I'll think about it, right? Like they're just scared to commit. They're not too sure. So response, again, you can say, yes, I understand, of course, no problem. But you want to bring them back, right? So, but you don't want to always just let them walk. And I see this sometimes at my front desk when we're offering like an OCT scan and someone says, I'll think about it. And some of our front desks just retract and they just say, okay. I hate it. It bothers me at the back of my mind. I'm like, oh, we got to get back. We got to get training. So and so at the front desk. But a better way to do that is you need to pivot. So before you decide, let me show you how this impacts your day-to-day vision. Let me show you how this would be beneficial to your eyes in the long run. Let me show you how this is better for the doctor. There's so many ways that you don't just accept it when they say no. at least have the opportunity. So just think pivot. Um, so I understand what you're saying, of course, but before you make that decision, can I just show you the value of the scan? Let me just show you a little bit more why other people go for it. Sorry, I'm just going to mute some people again. We got more people on. Okay, and so also the focus is on the immediate impact of the recommendation rather than the delay. So again, we're talking about transformation, right? Rather than you don't want to bring it back to, oh, I understand why you're gonna take some time, maybe in a week, maybe in a month. Instead of that, you want to bring it back to, this can be really beneficial for you and allow the doctor to do it now. You're here already. It saves you time. Anything that you can think of that's going to help that person make that decision today. So another one is basic options. So value-based validation. So this happens quite often, where patients will just say, oops, oops, sorry guys, let me just mute all. Uh, Love it. Sorry, I think I'm on my own today, so I don't have the help of Sam to moderate.
I'm here. What's wrong?
Or are you? Oh, just I was just hearing some background noise. If you can help me mute.
Everyone's muted.
Everyone's video. Okay, thank
Yeah.
you, thank you. Oh, I don't know what I heard there then. Okay, awesome. So, thanks, Sam. So going back here, sorry. Okay, so a basic option. So this happens quite often. So we have basic options where health insurance will just cover the basic portion, or people just say, I don't want any of that fancy stuff. I just want the basic, the most simplest thing. That's all I want. We don't want patients to be in the most basic option, right? Because then we haven't done our job to give them that experience, to let them know something else is better available for them, right? As soon as you comply, hey, I just want the most simplest option, and you say, okay, do you think that person's going to come back again? Likely not, right? So you want to always make sure you are adding value to someone. So basic to me is just we're just filling a prescription in a pharmacy. That's what I think basic is. And so that experience really, what makes you different? What have you done to go above and beyond for somebody to change their day, to show them transformation, to be the expert and communicate what is new in the field, right? So basic for me is not an option. And so here again, value-based validation. So someone will just say, I just want something simple, something cheap, or something basic. Again, you want to acknowledge it. Of course, I understand. However, most patients still choose this option because it improves their comfort in their everyday use, or it's much better in the long-term value, or you're going to do much better with this product versus just the basic product. And you want to validate their request while highlighting the benefits of the specific choices. So a lot of it, as you see, like the frameworks are very much the same. You are acknowledging, you're bringing it back to a value added discussion, and you're trying to make it a relatable story. And you're trying to validate what they said while highlighting the benefits of the choice, is really what you're trying to do. So when we come back to this slide, just wanted to implant it in everybody's brain. So price is rarely the real objection, right? So remember I told you the story, people will pay $5,000 for LASIK, but won't want to pay you 500 for something. You can't be upset about it. It's maybe I didn't convey something properly. Maybe I wasn't on my A game today. Maybe I didn't communicate properly and confidently with this person for the value that I was trying to explain. So I think this is a really important piece. Just keep that in mind. Know that whenever our team starts something new, we always get this. Like it's like we're starting again from the ground up. So whenever we enter or start a new revenue stream in our practice, a new product, new this or new that, this always comes up, and it comes up with team members, staff, doctors, all of us, because we haven't done it and it isn't new. And when we're not confident, we're getting no's. And so we sometimes think that price is an objection. Truly happens. Okay. Okay. So shift the language. Oh, keep getting some echoes in my ear. Okay, shift the language. So this one is more expensive. Um, you don't want to really use this type of language. You want to focus on the expense and the financial burden, or they focus on the expense and it creates a barrier to acceptance. So this is stuff you don't want to be doing. So you want to shift the language. Like imagine if you say, "Hey Susie, this is good. This Prada glasses are really fantastic. They're kind of expensive, but let me show you." You've implanted in their brain this is expensive. So don't say that. Don't say those words. Because now you've just pointed out to somebody, maybe this isn't a good choice because it's expensive, right? It creates that barrier for somebody to say yes, because now you're kind of subconsciously putting doubt in their mind when you say something is pricey or expensive. Instead, you want to change your wording to, this is designed for how you use your eyes every day, every eyes every day. Focus on, again, those daily visual needs and lifestyle, highlight the long-term benefit. So this is more advanced. Let me show you some great state-of-the-art glasses. Let me show you some phenomenal frames that are going to fit you well and make you look great. These are super in style. Let me show you some lenses that are going to really transform your day-to-day, Susie. They have the best coating, they have advanced, they have, or not the best, or they have premium coating. They have, blue AR that's going to do this for you, this for you, this for you, this for you. So the language really, really matters, and you really need to make sure you are listening to your team and you're also spot coaching and training them. Let's go to the next one. So you want to teach outcomes, not features. You all probably have heard this before. So when we're speaking about technology, we often, I believe all of us are highly technical people. And it's really easy to get into and fall into the rabbit holes of technicality and comparisons. And we all may understand when we're communicating, but when we're speaking to a patient, it just goes over their head. So really, you want to have simple language where you're speaking of outcomes, right? Not features. So here are some great things you want to focus on. Visual relief, right? Less eye strain at night, reduces headaches from screen use. So these are good language to use to connect with somebody about advanced features. Visual clarity, so you get clearer vision while driving. You have better comfort on digital devices, right? So these are things, sound bites that you would want to use. So the shift is, patients buy relief, they buy clarity and confidence. They're not buying really coatings, materials, or technical features. They don't really care. Some of them like come in and they ask about, you know, oh, I want the highest index, blah, 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 highest, I want this index, I want that index, because someone maybe has shared that with them. But really, they just want the thinnest lenses, right? They want something that looks cosmetically better. So sometimes they say they want this index, but then they want these large frames. And so in my mind, I'm thinking, well, it's not gonna look good because it doesn't matter how thin they are. Your frames, you're still gonna get a similar, what is it that you're looking for? A thinner lens edge. You don't want it to look off. These are maybe, yes, we'll go with this feature, but we'll also go with, this frame shape to give you the desired outcome that you're looking for. So always speak to, yeah, that relief, the clarity, and the confidence. So the insurance trap. We all accept insurance, I'm sure. Most of us probably do, or we're telling patients they can submit to claims. So we do accept insurance, and most teams they stop at coverage. So, and strong teams they start with coverage. So let me tell you what I mean by this. So you want to reframe the conversation. So often a patient will come right in. The first thing they say, "What does my insurance cover?" Right? This is a response we actually use quite often, because we have things like OHIP for our eye examinations, we direct bill. So we say, your insurance covers the basic eye exam. We'll apply that first, but we'll show you how you can actually improve your vision based on, your lifestyle. We'll show you, doctors recommend certain tests because, they want to check for X, Y, and Z in the back of your eye. So you can reframe it. So you should start with that conversation, but you want to always label it as the basic because it only covers what, like $200, $300. for eyewear, maybe $200 for the eye exam. It's not enough to cover everything, especially the eyeglass part. And so you want to make sure that you're not setting yourself up to fail, like pricing it all out. And at the end, oh, no, it's way beyond my insurance budget, right? You want to maybe get that objection out of the way in the beginning and start with, let's see, how much your insurance covers. Yeah, it can probably cover this amount, but let me show you what else we can do for you that can improve your vision. So you want to get that objection out of the way. So this keeps the authority with the optician and focuses on that patient need. So then you can still speak to their, lifestyle needs and uncover what may be best for them. I hope that was good. I thought this was a really good point because this happens quite often. And I think it's wrong when we price it all out, insurance doesn't cover, and then the patient walks. I think the better way to do this is get it out of the way in the beginning, set that expectation with the patient. Hey, it's only going to cover this much. Let me show you what else we can do for you, because now you're creating value in someone's mind, and you're really talking to their lifestyle and what they're looking for in addition to their day. So here's the 3-step framework. You want to first acknowledge, right? We talked about that. So you want to validate their concerns with agreeing, without agreeing or disagreeing. You just want to let them know that I understand what you're saying, right? Because you may want to pivot, or you may want to add, or you may want to change their objections. You also then want to educate. So you want to tell a recommendation to real life applications. So you want to bring it back to a relatable story in their day. And then you want to guide them. So you want to make the decision-making process easier for them along the way, just recommending what you think would be beneficial to them. So Susie, this is what we recommend because this AR coating is going to really help you keep your glasses clean throughout the day. I know you're very busy and the smudges bother you. This is a great tool for you. So let me go ahead and do this, and let's see, and would you like to go ahead with that? Is really what you're saying at the end. So step 1, acknowledge. We'll go through this again just so it's drilled through, solidified, but you want to validate without necessarily agreeing. You want to say you understand, that's a great question. And you want to use the cues to build rapport and keep the conversation open, right? So you've ever heard a great salesperson? It's really hard to get off the phone with them. So similar idea. You want to just make sure you're communicating and you're just trying to keep that conversation line open. And then you want to have the opportunity to tie in that recommendation, that expert opinion that they're coming to you for. So you want to make that right into that patient's daily lifestyle. You want to keep the education simple and relatable. And you want to use relatable examples that the patient can easily visualize. So simplicity creates consistency in that message. So remember, we do just eye exams, and we do a lot of specialty things like contact lenses and dry eye services. And this is where we fall into that, where we're just recommending the educating on the health benefits of the things that we do. And then you want to guide. So you want to guide on that easy decision making. So you can make it easy to decide by providing a clear path forward. So based on what you told me, your day to day, I would really recommend this product. This is what I would recommend for you. And the structure removes pressure, and consistency builds that confidence over time. So again, confidence is built through repetition, right? Doing something once, making that connection, and really through systems. Like when we're thinking operations, becomes operational. You want to have a good system, so it can be on repeat and play. And so this is where you want to have those SOPs, you want to have those scripts, you want to practice language, and have those weekly objection practices, consistent language across the entire team. So this is the system you've just built, right? If you can just schedule that 10-minute meeting with everybody with that framework, this is going to be a repeatable, successful system for you to improve your sales. And it provides that coaching and culture. You're going to have real-time coaching in the moment. And I love to do this is recognitions of wins to reinforce behavior. So one way I like to set our team in their mindset on things is I share evidences. So that's how I get people bought into the vision. This works. Susie, we're going to do myopia management. You don't want to go to somebody and say, point them out, be like, why aren't you doing this? Why didn't you close this sale? It's not motivating to somebody, right? As a human being, would you want someone saying that to you? Instead, we're all aspirational, transformative beings. We all want to do well in our day to day. It's not that we don't. So our job is to make sure we find a way to uncover that for somebody. And so a good way to do that is to share evidences. Hey, Susie, Dr. Colleen just did this with this patient, and this is how she did it. Congratulations, Dr. Colleen, like she did this. And then now Susie is looking at, or Dr. Susie is looking at Dr. Colleen thinking, hey, if she can do it, maybe I can too. Because clearly there's evidence, so it works. So you're building certainty. You're sharing that along the way. And so I think it's really important. And so that's really the encouraging way to do things. I don't think it works well when you're pointing out and calling out people when they're not doing the things that you set out to do. And it takes time too. You got to be patient. You have to get to the person where they're at on your team, and find ways to just work with them weekly. So here are some metrics. You might be thinking, okay, I have some things. We talked about training. We talked about confidence building and how to do that in our practice weekly. But how do I know it's working, right? You won't know unless you track. So that we all know. So you have to make sure you find metrics to track. So here are some, metrics you can track. Your capture rate, really important. A percentage of patients purchasing from you. You can set a target, let's say 85% or higher to ensure practice growth. Majority of our patients are coming in to see you, need to buy eyewear. So why aren't they buying from you, right? So set a target. You want to set a pretty good target because you want those patients that are doing business with you to come back to see you again. Premium lens adoption. This shows that you are, working in that optimal space. Now you're going to have better patient retention when you're speaking to more premium options for somebody. So track it. The percentage of high value solutions, right? Your premium lens package. You may want to have that tracked as well. Multi-pair conversion. Are you speaking to, yeah, someone's audio is not muted. Yeah. Are you speaking to everybody's multi-pair, like needs, sunglasses, reading, distance, swimming, I don't know, their hobbies or things like this. Are you addressing multiple needs? Are you just sticking to one thing? So this can be an indicator of, comprehensive care and trust, right? So it's really important to make sure that you're tracking these metrics. And then you should also track things like your hesitations as well. So how many people said, I'll think about it, responses, measures the immediate impact of confidence, right? So then if people are walking, who are they walking on, or the reduced hesitation, meaning how many of them are you converting? It's kind of an odd metric to use, but we use just when people walk, like why did they not walk? Why did they walk? So we want to know their objection and we track it. So we track why they didn't book. Did they not do yet? Ran out of time, all these different things you want to start tracking so that you can coach the behavior for the next time. So you want to shift from selling to guiding. Really, we're experts in the field. They're all coming to us for something. You don't have to think about it as selling. I know most of us don't like to do that. But really, if you do a good job explaining things, the sale comes after naturally. And so what patients feel is the emotional outcome. When communication is done right, patients leave with a sense of trust. They feel that they listened, right? Like someone listened to them. They felt like their needs were understood, and they feel like they helped me choose. So this is where we talk about patient-centric healthcare or doctor-centric or, practitioner-centric healthcare. It's really good when you put the patient first and in the center of all your decisions and make them feel included and make them feel like they are able to decide on they can choose their path as well is really important. And so the result, this is where loyalty forms and referrals happen. So if you really are, set out to do business for the next 5 years, you want these people, if that's like your goal, 3 to 5 years, what do you want to achieve? And you want to grow, you can fill your books with so many ads and marketing. Right? And I think of it like a bucket with holes in it. And so we have all this influx of new people coming in, But if we don't do anything about patient retention, which is the type of service we're offering, the recommendations that we're offering, those people are just going to churn through your bucket and your holes will be big. So your patients will just churn through. So you're never going to grow. Like they just go right through the bucket. But if you start to offer better services, better solutions, you're going to close those holes in the bucket. Now your bucket starts to grow as it fills with the patients, right? Because of you're retaining them. And that's really what it's all about is a loyalty. And this all happens in the operations. So you have to make sure that your team is trained well, the service is there, and we're always performing continuous learning and continuous training. And so here again, small shifts, big results. So the team impacts. So what happens is you start to have better conversations daily. You build a stronger team that are confident in their roles. The practice impact, you get higher patient trust and satisfaction, more consistent growth for the practice. And really, your team doesn't need to be better sellers. They just need to be better communicators, right? Like how many times do you see someone who just has a natural way of connecting? Like they're really good connectors, they're not aggressive in sales. They just understand people. They take the time to, connect with someone, and they often have the best results because they're actually caring about the person at the end of the day. And when you start taking it back, when we're tying everything back in together, the framework, step one is to focus on that one objection this week. Step two would be to conduct one role play with the team this week. And then step three, achieve one improved conversation with the patient. So that's really the framework. Okay, so I'm going to bring it back now. So this is a software that I created. It's called Pulse IQ Solutions. It is an intelligence platform built for eye care practices. There are a lot of gaps in the industry where we just didn't have metrics and tools, visibility, training, all that sorts of stuff. We created. And so inside Pulse IQ, there's all these training videos. So if there's something that you're thinking about, they're really just 3 minute. And this is the continuous training stuff that I'm talking about, where you can assign to your employees a 3 minute video. There's a little worksheet and a multiple choice quiz so you can track them and see how well they're doing for the training. Because one thing that bothered me is I hate repeating myself. And so I wanted consistency, real consistency. And so we've created videos for that in here. And the whole idea is that it's supposed to save you time, a support mechanism, a tool that you can share with your team. So it's kind of done for you. And then you can kind of go in there and have discussions and hold your team accountable. And so in here we have a dashboard. So we'll hook it up to whatever metrics you're using. If it's an Excel sheet, we can hook it up to that. If you have an EMR or some sort of point of sale service, if it's printing it out in a CSV or Excel file, we can hook it up to that and get your data. And then the trainings in here, there's goal setting. So we need to talk about goal setting for your teams, on a weekly, daily, monthly basis. There's a team feed in here where you can give people shout outs, wins and recognitions, and a board where you can put all your new announcements. And of course, the reports and analytics. So being able to see from a bird's eye view all the services that you have, what's performing, what's not, what you want to focus on. It's really quite comprehensive. And then there's an AI coach, a little AI coach. That's that little purple button at the bottom where it's trained on your SOPs. If you have something in a PDF or Word document, we plop it in here, we upload it, and it just reads your procedures, and it takes the information that we've trained it with to give it expert, answers that your staff might have. So like things like my bookings are down this week. What do I do? My contact lens sales are down. My optical AR is down this week. What do I do? And it'll tell you exactly what to do. So it's really quite cool. So the idea is just for your team to upskill faster. So your team starts to move more rapidly, and you will see more growth. So you can take a screenshot of this, or you can take your phone and just sign up. So you can get a free resource. And right now we're offering, if you sign up and put your email, I have a bunch of emails. I sent emails out to everybody that have already registered. So we're ready to onboard you. So you can do that. You can just take your phone and it'll take you to just a wait list. Just put your email in there. I'll get around to you. We'll set up a time to set a meeting where we can kind of go through your practice together. And I'm more than happy to support that. And you get 2 free months trying it out. So that is on for you. So you can do that. So it's special for our Optical Accelerator community here. And it's also in the worksheet. So if you don't get a chance here, it'll be printed in the worksheets that you can get, and you can just send your email there as well. All right. So let's see. Any questions? So anybody have any objections? Does your team struggle with the most? Where do your conversations break down in your practices? Where would more confidence change in your daily operations? Or what would more confidence change in your daily operations? Any input or any questions that anyone has? Feel free. You can even unmute. This is the time. So I shared with you all price was a big one for us. And when I do talks for groups, it's always price when we're talking about high ticket items. Um, and remember, we were once there. Now we're a lot more confident in that, just because we've done it so much that you just have to start. And so I think if you feel like uneasy about something, I think you need to find an accountability partner, set a goal, try to do whatever you're trying to achieve by the end of the week. Tell someone you want to do this, and you'll be kind of forced to do something differently. And then when you look back, you'll feel so great that you did it. And then it just kind of is a spiral upwards. Like it's such a great space to operate in when you're able to see growth and see change, and you did the hard thing and you did something different. Um, it's a really, really great place to be. And there's so much opportunity, guys. Like none of us are in competition with each other. There's so much opportunity, like even in our own practices that we leave on the table. And so growth is when you change that mindset to, I can do anything I want and at any point in time. Um, the amount that you can do for a person coming through your doors is a lot. So eye care is evolving so much. There are so many different new innovations coming into the field of eye care, and I think it's a fantastic place to be in. And I think that, there's so much opportunity in each of our own practices and clinics where we can all be successful together. All right. Any questions on any objections? Maybe take it back. And feel free, you can always send your manager with yourself or bring them on to these things because I find that if it's just you, it's really hard to communicate this back then to somebody else. So it's just so easier when you bring your manager with you to these meetings. You'll probably get more actionable insights out of it. So you don't have to repeat it or set up a meeting. All right. So if you don't have any questions, feel free. You can always email. So there's that email that we sent out in the reminders. And thank you all for joining. I appreciate you all. So as long as you guys keep showing up, I'm here. I love doing this, but I want your feedback. So if there's anything we can do better, I'm all ears. And if you have any ideas, let me know. Thank you. Thanks, William. All right, have a good evening. So we'll see you on the next one. Here, the next one is it's always the last Tuesday of the month, so it'll be May 26th. And the next one, we're going to take it back to systems that scale eye care in any location. So that $100,000 optical. And if you're wondering what it's about, go on to the opticalprism.ca and you can read the current issue. So there'll always be a article in print and then for the Optical Accelerator series, and then we just follow through with the webinar at the end of the month. So you can look forward to that in May. You're welcome, guys. So look forward to it and enjoy. And remember, there's a worksheet that will be sent out to you. So please, please, please do some of this in action. I would love to hear what worked for you, what didn't work for you the next time. All right. Thank you, guys. Have a good evening. Take care.